Hey everybody, what's going on? This is PJ Starks. I'm the writer, producer, and co-director of the slasher comedy New Fear's Eve. And you're listening to the Don't Go Out There podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. We're super excited for this upcoming interview with PJ Starks and Eric Huskisson in promo of their new film, New Fear's Eve, which is out on streaming sites like Fandango, Amazon, YouTube, and much more. Thank you guys for joining us. How are you two gentlemen doing?
Good.
Doing good, other than technically, but how are you all tonight?
Doing good.
Yeah, not too bad. Trying to avoid this winter storm that's on its way here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We always like to start off all of our interviews just by asking, what is it that inspired you to pursue filmmaking? PJ, you want to kick us off with that?
So it was just, I wanted to be a writer at first, and then I was gifted a RCA camcorder when I was about 12. And then after that, I just wanted to be a visual storyteller of some kind. And it's evolved over the years. And so, from writing to then kind of everything. And then eventually, once you start kind of honing your craft and finding out what you really want to do, now it's mostly producing. We like with this film, I wrote it, and then Eric and I co-directed. But for me, the producing side is ultimately the favorite. But yeah, it started when I was 12, and then I've never looked back.
Awesome. Eric, what made you want to pursue filmmaking?
I'm back when I was younger, I was really into special effects. All your B-horror movies, nothing really against the storyline or the acting, but I was really into the special effects and how they made stuff look real. So that really is what got me into movies. Now, as I got older, there wasn't really much of that going around. We had Fangoria magazine, but that was about all that was going on in this hometown for me. I'm much older than PJ. When I got into high school, I was a horror fan, but when I got into high school, I got into theater. And when I got into theater, then I was, doing makeup and stuff as well. So then I wanted to become an actor, wanted to be a comedian, wanted to be a special effects artist, wanted to be a little bit of everything. And I just never took that leap. I left town only like an hour or two away each time, and never went out to Hollywood or New York and pursued it. And run into this big lug about 13 years ago, and he was doing stuff in town, and we met and became instant friends, and now we're 4 feature films in.
Awesome. I love that. I got a quick follow-up for you guys. I looked through you guys' IMDb pages. You've done a lot of work in the horror genre. What is it about horror that you love, and what films made you love the genre?
I think as far as like, why do I love the horror genre the most in terms of a creative standpoint, it's the one genre that's the most malleable. You can blend horror with so many other elements and aspects. You can have pretty much every other genre and subgenre kind of mixed together. And you can't really do that with other genres because then, you can mix a couple. You can have a, action comedy or, like an action Western or a drama Western. But ultimately, once you incorporate horror into anything, it's automatically a horror film. So while a lot of times the horror genre is treated like The Ugly Stepchild, it's one of the most profitable, if not one of the most popular, regardless of what the industry standard is. And as far as like the films that this is a tough question because I love so many different horror films, but ironically, the movie that kicked off my love for just the supernatural and the macabre was Ghostbusters, which is not really considered a horror film. But
that's his favorite.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Of all time.
And then, as a sidebar, then there was like the Monster Squad, The Gate, Night of the Creeps, and all those movies kind of stemmed from that. And because of my grandmother, she got me heavily steeped into the horror genre. Like you would have never known she was a horror fan. She was like an OG horror fan, but you would never know looking at her. And
Right.
she really instilled that love and then nurtured it because we became scary movie buddies my entire life until, I mean, right up until she passed away. She passed away at the end of 2020 from dementia. But what's interesting is in the I would say in the few months before that, one of the more last lucid days, we watched the movie Slugs together, and that was one of like the last times her and I watched a film where she was like really into it because she was in the moment, she was understanding everything, and that movie is so ridiculous. But it was so much fun watching it with her. So it's like, yeah, that's horror has a special place in my heart because of her.
I love that.
Horror with me, it's just something I gravitated to when I was younger. Like I said, I was in the special effects. My dad was letting me stay up late when I was younger on Friday or Saturday nights and watch them. I don't know why he felt he had to stay up with me, but at least he was letting me stay up late because it was past the time they would go to bed. But I mean, I'm talking when I was 8, 9, 10 years old when I was younger, and I gravitated towards the special effects, just loved it, and was a horror fan up until now. I mean, it just grew, but like you start getting around a group of people, and one of the reasons I think I'm into horror is the niche group that horror people are. I mean, we're sitting around
Right.
talking about movies, but when all of a sudden a horror movie comes up, there's only a couple of people out of the group that might be talking about. I don't watch horror movies. And then all of a sudden, it's just you two or you three talking about horror movies, and everybody else just kind of goes away. It's like all that one scene, and it's just you're just that niche little group, and I think that's what I love about it. It's just everybody just gets it. That's in horror. I mean, and it's funny
Yeah.
how you can just all of a sudden gravitate to that person, start talking, and everybody else is like, "See ya." Um, but I mean, there was a lot of ones that grabbed me when I was younger. Phantasm's one of them. A lot of the old Dracula, Frankenstein movies, and I just loved them. But the one movie that got me hook, line, and sinker, where I'm an ultimate just love horror, is Halloween. I mean, I hate to be
Yeah.
cliche that say, "Oh, it was
Yeah.
Halloween," but I mean, I'm a Jar Jar fan. But his portrayal, when the ambiance he sets with his music and the way he shoots stuff with Michael Myers, it just stuck with me, man. It gave me cold chills, and I was hooked.
PJ, you and we were talking off air about our love of remakes and now Ghostbusters, man. I feel like we're right here, man. I feel like we're right here.
Are
But
you
listen, you
asking me on
guys,
a date?
we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes.
Watch out.
Uh, but listen, you guys have worked together obviously a lot throughout your careers. Talk to us a little bit about that, about your friendship and working together, and specifically working together on this New Year's Eve movie you got going here.
I really didn't know much about PJ when I met him. I kind of hated his guts. He was real egotistical. Just kidding. I was
You
getting ready.
still
A
does.
friend of mine, and that's it. That's all I gotta say. A friend of mine and I were going to
Yeah.
Chicago Comic Con, and it was the first time I'd done anything like that, and I was super excited. And then he come to me and he goes, "Hey, man, have you heard about this thing happening at the Davis County Public Library, which is our library?" And he brought up this thing called Unscripted, and this guy named PJ had started this thing where they bring in directors of certain types of films, and you'll watch the film, and then you'll watch it again through the director's narration.
Yeah.
And they were having a zombie night, and they were having prizes, and of course, special effects. So I thought I'll dress up as a zombie, and we'll go. Maybe we'll win some money for our trip. So I go,
Nice.
and I come in second. I wasn't bummed, but I at least came in second. There wasn't a whole lot in it. But the person that won was this kind of a special effects artist at the time. But I caught his eye, and we went in the corner and made out. But no, we talked afterwards, exchanged numbers, and a month or so later, he was doing a project for a local radio station, and he was doing some needed zombies, and he called me up and was like, "Hey, man, would you want to do your zombie makeup and come be in this?" And I was like, "Sure, would love to." And then when that was over, him and I started talking, and he was like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to go to Scarefest in Lexington. I'm going to be running their film festival. I could use some extra hands. And of course, my wife, she's so supportive and lets me do about whatever I want to. So we went, and the trip, it's like 3 hour drive for us. So the trip up, trip back, and the weekend spent together, we became instant friends. And pretty much from there, I just started begging him anything he was doing. And he did another project at the library where I'm going to let him take over there. What was the name of that you did with the two? We did short stories at the
Yeah,
library.
it was. So the library wanted to branch off, so they did what was called the Unscripted Film School, where it opened up to the community for like people to come in and shadow the different aspects of filmmaking. So you could watch the direct photography and script supervisor and the director and all that. And there were two filmmakers making stuff simultaneously in one night. But that ended up being so successful, I ended up pitching them the idea for shooting a horror anthology there, and that's what became Volumes of Blood. And then at that point, that was when Eric was very heavily involved in Volumes of Blood from, conception to completion. And even he'll say, like, well, I was the prop master on the movie, like, he did so much more than that. And after that got finished and put out there, and it was supposed to be this just little one-off movie where nothing really came of it. It ended up getting like all these great reviews and found distribution and everything, which was my first real foray into like the distribution side. Up to that point, like I'd been heavily involved in like marketing and all that stuff and the filmmaking side. But after that, Eric came to me and was like, hey, we work really well together. Would you be opposed to starting a business before we do our next project? Make things a bit or even a lot more legitimate. I said, absolutely. And we started Blood Moon Pictures together in December of 15. And then we made Volumes of Blood Horror Stories, and then the rest is history. And now we tried to do a third movie. It didn't really pan out. We took we're able to take the funds from that movie, and then we made 13 Slays Till Christmas, which is a Christmas-themed horror anthology, and not by design. We shot it during the pandemic, which I would say the one big positive thing that came out of that was our movie got featured in Fangoria magazine because we were one of a handful of films that were actually still shooting during the pandemic, and a lot of the article was about like safety protocols and stuff because we were doing that. But put that out there, and then ironically, and I'm bad about this, Eric will back me up, but it's like we'll be in the middle of filming one movie, and I'll come to him and I'm like, hey, I got this great idea for this other movie. And he's like, oh, fuck, can we focus on the task at hand? Can we do that and then worry about other movies later on down the line?
Problem with that is he'll come up and he just had the title. He didn't have a storyline. So we're in the middle of this stressful trying to get this film made, get stuff done. And he goes, I've got this idea and it's called New Year's Eve. And I was like, what's about? Well, I've just got the title. I kind of got an idea, but I was just going to throw the title at you. And I'm like, dude, no.
What? I was excited. I was excited about the title. But yeah, so I was driving. I came up with the title. I told him about the title. It did have a basic concept. Originally, New Year's Eve was supposed to be a horror anthology. And then what ended up happening is after we made 13 Slays Till Christmas, Eric and I, we started talking about, do we want to be pigeonholed as like the guys who just make anthologies? And of course, a lot of that was by design because we only film on the weekends and it's a lot easier to film something that's more easily contained in a short period of time.
Right.
But we started talking about things that we wanted to do. Like we wanted to dabble more into comedy. We talked about maybe doing a comedy one day, but the problem with doing a comedy, especially a ultra low budget comedy, is if you don't have somebody that's a recognizable comedian, there's I would say almost a 99% chance that your film is just going to instantly fall into obscurity. And because there's really not a lot of avenues for ultra low budget comedies, dramas, and all that. And we know filmmakers who make these movies, but it's like they struggle to get their films recognized, reviewed, distributed. And I mean, horror really is our love, as much as we love other genres and would like to do other stuff. So we decided, well, how about let's do like a single narrative feature and stuff like that. So there were a lot of things that we wanted to do differently. And then because 13 Slaves Till Christmas did well, Eric came to me and said, hey, so what about this idea for a movie about New Year's Eve? Like, what's that all about? So I pulled it off the shelf, dusted it off, completely retooled the concept, and made it a single narrative feature. However, at the time when I wrote it, the idea was that it was going to be very intense atmosphere, lots of tension, straightforward horror. Because if you watch any of the previous stuff that we've done, I've written a majority of it, and a lot of the stuff that I write, Kevin Smith is a huge inspiration to me, and I love his movies. And Clerks was the film that made me go, maybe I really can do this. So ultimately, when I write something, because I use humor to cope, I inject a lot of humor into the stuff that I'm doing. So am I getting ahead of myself here? I feel like
Yes, you're rambling.
No. No, and we can talk a little bit about that. I mean, you were talking about earlier about horror being able to mesh all these other genres. You know, you're talking about comedy with this. How hard is that to balance the horror and the comedy in this movie?
that's an interesting question, because like I've seen this question asked to other filmmakers who do make horror comedies, and they always have this answer as to like what their balance between horror and comedy was. But I mean, when I sat down to write the script, for one, like I didn't set out to write a comedy. For me, I knew that like when I was going to write the horror stuff, I wanted it to be taken very seriously. The doctor, the killer in the movie, the slasher subgenre is my favorite subgenre. That's why this is a slasher film. I loved silent masked killers like Michael Myers or Jason. So they're all business. Those are my favorite kinds of masked killers and slashers. Another reason why the doctor is the way he is. So I wanted his character to be taken seriously as well. You want him to feel like a threat. And even though there's comedy in the rest of the film, if you treat him like a joke, the threat level goes way down, and any kind of tension whatsoever is gone. There are a couple of times in the movie where there's like a comedic moment with his character, but it's not so much so over the top that it kills the fact that he is this like sadistic killer. If anything, it's to kind of like it is creating a bit of levity, but so it was never really like, how am I going to balance this comedy and horror? I mean, I just sat down and I wrote the script to tell a story, and the doctor represents something. He symbolizes something very specific. I was going through had gone through a lot at that point too with stuff in my life. My mom had been diagnosed with double lung cancer. My grandmother, who I was super close to, of course, she had passed away about a year before I started writing the script, and I went through a really messy divorce. And so of course, that I saw how that affected the kids, and so there was like all these really serious things that had happened in life. And once again, I use humor to cope with all that. So when I finally sat down to write the script, I had a lot to say about certain types of things. I had rekindled a relationship with a high school sweetheart who we are now married. Her name is Leslie. So I named the lead after her, that character. So there's a lot of very personal things within the confines of this script, even though there's this very thick layer of dick jokes and and things happening in the movie. There's a lot of very serious, like, deep-seated meanings and undertones happening, especially like in the narrative. And there's a lot of very personal things that are in the script, so much that, like, when Eric got done reading it for the first time, well, first of all, he was like, I thought we were doing a tension-fueled horror masterpiece here. And he's like, this is way too funny to be horror or a serious horror. This is more of a horror comedy. And I said, well, we wanted to do comedy, so now there we go. The other thing is because there's some things in it that are so personal, he's like, you really want to put that in there? Because, you know, because of the circumstances and things. And I was like, well, yeah, because that's what makes it so rich. That's what makes the characters so likable and endearing. And that's what makes the drama work, is because it's real.
PJ.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't have to get into it. I'll tell you guys off air exactly what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, there was one very specific moment where he's like, you really want to put this in there? Because that could cause some issues. And I'm like, it did not happen. So, yeah, I want it to be there, you know? And you're right.
Well, and I think that shines through with your character of the doctor, like you said, because, you know, how hard it is to create this. Everybody wants to have the next Michael Myers, the next slasher, the next Jason Voorhees. And I think having that emotional touch and that emotional pull with the doctor shines through. And I think you did a very good job of accomplishing the having a next iconic slasher, if that makes sense. But Eric, talk to us a little bit about the special effects, the kills. You know, how important is practical effects to you as someone who does that in your line of work?
The special effects, man. PJ wrote all the kills in this, and we got with some guys we'd worked with a little bit before, Stephen Hopke, Issa Morales. We hadn't worked with Issa Morales or Blaze Bolden, but they came in, and man, they were such. It is amazing from pen to paper what they were able to do, because they live in northern Kentucky, just across the river from Cincinnati, which is 3 hours from here. So when we needed to have them on set to do special effects, they were only available Saturdays and Sundays till around 3 or 4 o'clock, because they're an hour ahead of us. So if they left at 4, it's 5 their time, so they weren't getting home till 8:30. So these guys, man, it's amazing what they got accomplished. Like the weekend with Dave and Felissa and Jeffrey, and all the people that paid to be in a scene with them, and some of them also paid to get killed, were only there that weekend because Dave and Felissa were there. So when you see that crowd in there with the Hooper Industries employees, that was all filmed in one weekend. Felissa's stuff killed. Dave, Jeffrey, all of that was filmed in one weekend. And Friday night, we had a VIP party. So to have like a get-together with everybody, so there's a little meet and greet, make a little, because it allowed us to sell tickets so we could make a little bit more money for the film, but people were able to sit and talk to Dave, Felissa, and Jeffrey. So the special effects, man, what got pulled off from, like I said, from paper to screen with these guys was Rob Collins was another guy that came in for a weekend and helped, and he was part of Stephen Hopke coming in and doing that, but he was unable to come back for the rest. But it is amazing what they were able to pull off in the amount of time they had. I mean, you all have seen it. You saw the kills. You think about Dave, you think about Felissa, you think about Jeffrey, then all the dialogue. I think it was 13 pages we did in one weekend with all of them being in town, and we had no choice. And you know, the amount of kills isn't what gets me in this film. It's the kills themselves. There is some iconic kills that PJ came up with and we were able to get done for this film. My favorite to me is the kill room. Just the whole ambience of that kill. Even though the kill was pretty gruesome in there, the whole thing together, just I love that whole sequence. Of course, there's a couple other kills that I'm partial to. You all, we're not gonna do a lot of spoilers, but there's an adult apparatus in the film, and Felicia's kill was pretty fantastic. But it's man, I'm telling you what, to get to do all practical effects, we do have one CGI effect, one, and that's during the axe scene when he drops the handle down, with it having to be a reverse. We couldn't do a drop of blood, and I hate CGI with a passion. And this guy came, and the guy that was on set being our script supervisor, come to find out he does video work like that. He goes, "Oh, I can put that in there. I can take that out." Joshua Siegel's his name. We didn't even know he did that. He didn't tell us. We didn't ask, but he done a lot of our video editing for us. Man, took a lot of our. We found names on the cars and on the crossbows and all that had to be taken care of because of the close-ups and special effects. So,
talking about CGI versus practical, obviously, I think that the way that it's used in this film for sure, and how it just is used to emphasize and help along and make things a little bit easier with the practical effects, is how that's how I like it. That's how I like it being used, of course, instead of replacing it altogether. You can tell. Another big aspect I want to talk to you guys about is the score. How'd you guys work with composer Frank Domani to come up with the score for this film? Did you just let him have free reign, or did you give him kind of a, hey, let's go for this?
No, I just happened to come across Frank by happenstance on IMDb, and I went to his because he had scored a couple other projects like Phantom Fun World and a couple others that we know the filmmakers. So I went to his website, and in my mind, I had a very specific idea of how I wanted the score to be. I wanted it to be very reminiscent of those 90s, very 90s slasher, very orchestral, over the top type scores, like, the Marco Beltrami. And
yes.
So I went to his website, and the very first clip of music that he had that I clicked on, it was exactly what I heard in my head.
Nice.
So immediately I get in touch with Frank, start talking to him, and he, it's funny because he was aware of the project and had wanted to reach out, but he didn't because we had a couple other potential composers, and they ended up not working out. And I think the reason that was, and like I've said before many times now, like, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. So I think he was always supposed to be the one to score the film, because I worked very closely with him. Now, he did have, at no time where either of us do it exactly like this. Like, when I would have conversations with him about what I was looking for, I would say, listen to the score for I Know What You Did Last Summer, or Christopher Young's urban legend score, and those types of films. Like, those are what I really want you to emulate, but make it yours, give it your voice. And he just fucking knocked it out of the park. First of all, Frank is like a super
Unreal.
cool, nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Very down to earth. And the score he put together, even now, when I listen to it, I'm like, I can't believe this is our score. It's so good. I'll go as far as saying you could put it up against those scores that I was talking to him about. I mean, and some of them I even mentioned he did better, like the score for Valentine. I love that movie, but the score he did for New Year's Eve is better than the Valentine score.
It's funny you mentioned urban legend, because that's exactly what I thought about whenever I thought, man, that's very urban legend-esque.
I love Christopher Young. I listen to a lot of his music. Even if you go back as far as when he scored The Dorm That Dripped Blood, It's not a great slasher, but the score for that movie is fucking incredible. Christopher Young is probably one of my favorite composers, and he does a lot of horror films, but they're phenomenal scores. But even like Brian Tyler, who did the score for Darkness Falls, that is regardless of how you feel about Darkness Falls, the score for that movie is great. So that was another. There were excerpts from that score that I sent to him and was like, I really like this, right? So Frank did an incredible job, and actually the score recently came out to where you can listen to it in its entirety or purchase it as well.
Nice.
But it's so good. It really is, like, it's a genuinely good composition of music.
Awesome. Yeah, I love listening to horror scores. Eric, I wanted to give you a compliment on special effects before we moved on. One of my favorite kills from the movie was towards the beginning, like in the montage with the news when the guy got his throat ripped out. I thought the effects looked incredible on that.
Yeah, well, honestly,
I thought it was
ironically,
fantastic.
Joshua Siegel that I was telling you about that did some of the visual work for us, he went in and he cleaned that up, where it was connected to his neck, cleared some of the seams up with his visual abilities, and that happens to be my cousin that paid to get killed in the film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. It looked good. So big props.
yeah. We were
Thi-
we were really
this
pleased
is
how it turned out.
Yeah, it looked great. This is something I'm genuinely interested in from the filmmaking aspects. I'm excited to hear about this. But talk to us about Cineverse distributing the film. Per their website, they distribute over 71,000 premium films, series, and podcasts, engaging over 50 million unique listeners. How are they to work with? Like, I love hearing about how, like, you found a distributor and all that. So, how was Cineverse?
They've been great, honestly. We wanted to go to that next level. I mean, we've been with Scream Team for a while. Justin's a friend of ours, but like PJ said earlier, we ended up doing this as a single narrative because we're trying to not change things, but just keep stepping up and doing things. So we thought, let's try and get better, distribution or with a bigger company, get seen more, whatever. And Cineverse took a while, I will be honest, but they're a bigger company. They're dealing with all other different kinds of other movies and got their own bigger movies that are happening. I was starting to get a little hesitant and a little negative, like it's not going to happen because PJ and I've had the rug pulled out from under us more than once with distribution. So there's a negativity going in, and they're super busy. They've had some turnover since we've been involved, but everybody's been great. We've had some Zoom meetings with a marketing team for what they can do and not do with us. I mean, once we got in and got things signed, it seemed like it was going smooth. But like I said, they had some turnover, some things kind of slowed down a little bit. But then as people started coming in, things picked back up and the right people got involved. And we're just both super happy that Cineverse has it. And then it's a Screenbox exclusive. We're still in the top 10. We were number one. We've been in the top 5 for weeks in a row. It's amazing being with Cineverse, with the movies that they're affiliated with and what they put out there. It still hasn't really hit me. I mean, this is the biggest thing we've done, and it's just been so well accepted. And I think being on Cineverse has broadened the horizons for us because so many people from so many different areas that don't know who we are finally like, well, what's this? And it's been surreal.
I love that.
PJ?
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
PJ,
you.
do you want to share anything?
He said a lot there. I don't know how much more, but I can add to that, but I'll try.
you'll
Yeah,
ramble.
I mean, being a part. I mean, first of all, being a part of like Cineverse's holiday rollout was pretty crazy because the Friday before our movie dropped, the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake came out. So, and then now this weekend, Return to Silent Hill comes out, which I think looks great. I love the original Silent Hill, and I'm planning on going and seeing this, the new one. So just to be a part of a company that's releasing so much cool content, not just the streaming, but also theatrically is for us, it really is next level because that's exactly what we were going for And that's exactly what happened. So all the waiting really did pay off. And then I would say from a business standpoint, it's given Eric and I more of an understanding and a bit of a different perspective as to how it works, especially now that Cineverse is an industry contender. So, they do have a lot of irons in the fire. And with like the independent companies, we're kind of used to, like the constant back and forth and that sort of thing. So there were some times where we're like, why are they not emailing us back fast enough? Like, do they not like us anymore? It's like
Right.
that kind of a thing. So, but every conversation we've had with their team, every Zoom meeting, conference call, they've all been very friendly, really cool, really helpful, and ready to get the movie out. And it's cool because, like, just yesterday, Cineverse put out a clip from the kill room scene with the saw table, and I didn't know, I didn't know they were going to do that. So when I woke up and saw that, I was like, oh shit, that's really cool.
Nice.
And then I thought, man, that looks really good. Like, just the quality of it and everything. So that's just the other thing about the movie. Like, even now, like, I'll see clips of it and stuff that I haven't watched in a while, and I think, oh shit, that looks good, that sounds good. And I'm just really happy with how things are going right now. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers are, because like Eric has already said, the movie's been trending. The press has been pretty consistent, and so far all the reviews and the feedback we've been getting from both critics and fans of horror have been, I would say, mostly positive. You can't keep everybody happy. There's been a few like negative Nancy's out there basically telling us that our movie's shit and we should kill ourselves. But other than
Jesus.
that, yeah.
Jesus.
What's funny is, and I called Jeffrey to talk to him about this, because it's like, there was a guy who watched the movie. And he did not like it, and he was so angry. He sought me out on Facebook, found one of my posts promoting the movie, and then wrote this big, long diatribe about how bad the writing was, how bad, like, I didn't know how to write characters. And it was like, he wasn't just constructive criticism. It was like he was attacking me, getting personal and I'm reading it going like, good, like, did my movie fucking kill your dad? Like, what is happening
Jesus.
here? And so I called, because I'm not used to that, and it didn't, like, I actually thought it was funny. Like, it didn't bother me. Like, I felt bad for the guy. I'm thinking, you really need a hobby of some kind. But I called Jeffrey because I'm like, does this happen a lot when you do something that gets a bit more exposure, or like, and he's like, oh yeah, it's, and he goes, if this continues on the trajectory that it's going, and, a sequel gets greenlit and this thing just gets bigger, or whatever you do next, he's like, yeah, it's just going to get worse. There's going to be those people out there that are going to hate you just for doing what you're doing. So it's been interesting, to say the least.
It's been a very, very, very
See,
small percentage of people hating the film.
Oh, yeah. If you go to Letterboxd, it's mostly, which normally I would say Letterboxd is a cesspool.
Yeah.
But if you go to our reviews, it's mostly, like Eric was saying, it's mostly all good. And there's a few bad Apple reviewers out there, but like they and I think there was like one or two. There was one person that was really pissed that they had to pay $4.99 and watch the movie. They're like,
That was a waste of time.
fucking believe I paid $4.99 for this piece of shit. It was like going on and on. What's funny, the other one is, there's an IMDb review where this person in their review starts attacking the other people that reviewed the movie positively on IMDb.
People need hobbies.
So weird. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
See, PJ, I'm a troll from way back. So if that dude commented on my Facebook post, I would have just said appreciate you watching and just kept it pushing.
Yeah, I did want to get on there and say something like, "We got your money now, bitch."
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. I let it go. There have been a few where I'll get on there and I'll do that, where I'll say, "I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the movie and giving it a review, even if it's that scathing. I can't believe I had to sit through this kind of review." And I think, if anything, that is like the worst way you can get back at them, is just by
Yeah.
thanking them for hating what you made.
Yep.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had
Hate
two.
watch is still a watch.
We've had 2 or 3 people get on there and like, this movie was great. I can't believe that these people fell through the cracks and I haven't seen their stuff before. You have to watch this movie. The acting is on point. The writing is great. The kills are awesome. I love this movie. You will have to watch it. I can't wait to see what they do next. And you look down, 3 out of 5. Like, you talk about it like it's no, you know, like it's a blind line. Look down and it's 3 out of 5, and I'm like, what the hell do we have to do to get a 4?
Yeah, I agree with you, PJ. Letterboxd is kind of a cesspool. I mean, I have one, just for my own personal use, but other people's reviews piss me off genuinely. But I have to ask before we go. I gotta ask, how was it working with Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan? I've met both of them at conventions. I've met Felissa multiple times, but I met both of them recently at Spooky Empire last June. They're incredible. They have great chemistry in person and on screen. Can you just talk to us about working with them?
They're great. I mean, they're both completely different artists. I mean, for one, they're both really strong actors, and that's why we chose them to be a part of the movie, because we knew they could carry a role. But in terms of like being on set, Dave is exactly what you would think he would be like. He's real goofy, real outgoing. He's always
he's Deputy Doofy. He's Deputy Doofy.
He really is. Like, he's not in this movie, and he's not super over the top like he is in a lot of the roles that he typically plays. But at the same time, he kept all the other actors on their toes. I can say that, because we would do a take, and he's always going off script. So a take that should really only go maybe 3 minutes was taking 15 minutes, because he would branch off the dialogue and go over here and then come back to the script and then go out here and then come back to the script. And the other actors were trying their damnedest to like stick with him, but normally they were just coming right back to the script and keeping him on track. And he did so much ad-libbing that when I edited the movie, I was able to keep some of that in there. A lot of it hit the cutting room floor, because, I mean, there are some hilarious takes and things that he said that just, there was no way to make them work once I got in the editing room. But there were a few things that I was able to keep in there that were just fantastic that he came up with that wasn't in the script. But then, like, Felissa, she is, well, you've met her, right? So it's like, she's super genuine, a sweetheart. Her energy is infectious. I don't know anybody who has anything bad to say about her. She's good with everybody. I mean, she's just great to have on set. And I've been real lucky since then to work with her so far on 2 other movies. And like on the last sleepover, her and I got to hang out on set, like really spend some time. 'Cause we didn't really get a chance to do that on our set because it was really run and gun. And like Eric said, we had 23 pages plus 10 kills that we had to do in a day and a half. So there was no downtime. It was go, go, go. But like on last sleepover, Felissa and I just got to sit around and just hang out and talk shop and really get to know each other. And she's just super cool and awesome. I have nothing bad to say about Felissa.
She's amazing.
Right. Well, Eric, PJ, we'll let you guys get out of here. Really appreciate your time. New Fear's Eve, streaming now, wherever you got it. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add about the movie before we get out of here?
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Let us know what you
Absolutely.
think, good or bad. We have thick skin.
Keep us on that top 10 on Screenbox.
Good or That's right. That's right. And at least get it more than 3.5 stars if you love it. Come on.
Right. 4.
Never
Well, thank
understood
you,
that on
guys.
Letterboxd.
Well, thank you all for having us.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody